Hello all, welcome back to Datacraft Institute. So today we will be starting module 2 and this will be the first video of module 2 and we will be learning select, from and limit clauses here. So let us start with some theory, the basics. Select is used to retrieve the data and from specifies from where we want to retrieve the data. If it is a table, view or a stage concept we will learn later. Table we have already studied in previous module and columns also we have studied in previous modules. So select is used to get the data from the tables, get the columns from the table where we want. Whatever columns we want, we can get it from a table. Okay, so you can select all columns or specific columns. Whatever columns you want, you can name that. Now select star is used to select all columns. Okay, but we avoid using select star in production and use column pruning. I want to introduce to a concept called as pruning because right now at the very beginning, because you will hear this term every now and then in data engineering, wherein pruning means to ignore something. Okay, so if you want 2 columns, only select 2 columns and ignore all the other columns. If you have 10 columns and you want to select 2 columns out of it, so ignore the 8 columns. So these 8 columns are pruned, are ignored. Similarly, you have partition pruning concepts in Snowflake and other data warehouses. We will learn that later. Okay, so moving ahead, what does from do? As I said, from specifies from where you want to get the data. Okay, it tells where the data resides and where it comes from. So let us jump into some practicals. Last module we have created our own database using DB SQL. So we will open that database over here, and we also had one table called as employee. Okay, so we will write a simple select statement. Select star from employee. Okay, and we can see we have the data of all the columns. Now let us apply column pruning. Okay, and I will only select employee ID comma name. So now we see we have only 2 columns which are selected. As a best practice, we should always name our columns whatever we want rather than giving star. Okay, now moving ahead, query execution order. SQL execution order, first from is executed and then select is executed. Now when I say first from is executed, it doesn't mean that the entire table is selected and after that these 2 columns are pruned. Means these 2 columns are selected, first the entire employee table is selected, then again these columns are selected from that. No, it doesn't mean like that. So first from is executed means first the SQL engine understands from where you have to get the data, then what column you need to get the data. I will explain with the help of an example. Okay, so for example, if you see, I will go to a web browser. Okay, and then we will execute it here. So for example, if you see this particular SQL statement, I am selecting customer name. We can write aliases. Alias means a shorter name for the name for a column name. Okay, so we can select customer name as CNAME and city as CT from customers table. Okay, so if you see run this SQL, it has 91 records for CNAME, so the alias name will be shown here, and CT for city. Okay, Berlin, Mexico, and customer is here. But if I write a where clause here, okay, where CT, where, okay, so for example, where city is equal to Berlin. Okay, if I run this, I will get the data. But if I write here CT is equal to Berlin, I will get an error. Okay, invalid column name CT. Why? Because first it is executing the from clause before this select statement. Okay, from and where clause. So when the SQL engine is checking the from clause, it is not getting any CT column over here in the customers, because CT is aliased as CT. This we have defined in the select statement. Select statement is still here. Okay, this entire is a select statement, but this is a select clause. Okay, this is still here only. So we have named CT as CT. This SQL engine doesn't know, because first it is executing from. Okay, this block from and where. I will tell you from where comes in the sequence, but before the select, from is executed. It doesn't mean that entire customer is selected. It means it is compiled kind of a thing. A plan is created wherein it checks whether customer has this table. Okay, from where you have to get the data. Okay, so moving ahead, limit. So limit is used to restrict the number of rows returned, and it is useful for previewing large table. Generally in production system, the tables are of huge size. Okay, and you cannot do a select star or select column. You just want to preview the data. In that case, you will use a limit. For example, here only, if you just put a limit clause, okay, limit to number of rows that you want to preview. Okay, execute this SQL, you will only see 2 rows. Okay, generally in production system, when there are huge tables, you will be putting a limit clause. Okay, now common beginner mistakes. First is misspelling table names. You do not spell it correctly. For example, if you write here, if you get this kind of an error, okay, no such table found, that means your table name is wrong generally. Okay, the other beginner mistake that you see is using wrong column names. Okay, so if I will just use nam, and it will say no such column exists. Okay, nam. Okay, no such column, nam. Okay, and then what are the other beginner mistakes over here? Forgetting the from clause and case sensitivity. Some databases are case sensitive, like Snowflake. Now DB SQLite is not case sensitive, but Snowflake is. So if there is a database named in camel case, like not all caps, EMPLOYEE, something like that, small, so this particular database will execute it. But ideally in other databases which are case sensitive, for camel cases, you need to put it in a double quotes. Okay, so that thing you have to take care. So SQLite is kind of, it has it does the computation. So here if you will run this particular query which failed over here, it may work in SQLite. That is why I shown here, because SQLite internally rewrites the SQL before executing it in the physical level, in the DB level. It internally rewrites the SQL. So this may work here, but to show you, I have shown you in the W3 Schools browser. Okay, so I think that's it. For summary, select chooses the column, from chooses the table. Okay, select plus from is a basic SQL query, and limit is used to sample the data, and the order is first from is executed always, and then select is executed. Okay, but it doesn't mean that entire table is selected. It's just for a like, it is like kind of compilation, like a plan is created. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much. We will see you all in the second video for this module.